What's up, YouTube family? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky, and today's video is going to be all about tow yard auctions. Now, we've made a few videos in the past kind of lightly talking about them, but I figured I'd do an in-depth video to answer some of your questions and go a little bit more in depth and kind of debunk a lot of the myths that comes along with tow yard auctions. Are they good? Are they a waste of time? How do you get into them? Are they open to the public? So we're going to answer all that stuff. So before I get into the video, if you could do me a huge favor and gently squeeze the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and also find more amazing people like yourselves that enjoy automotive content. Also, if you consider subscribing, we do post 3 times a week, so make sure you click the notification bell. And once again, follow us on Instagram at automotive.life. We post there every single day, and a lot of stuff that we can't post on here, we definitely post on there, so stay tuned for that stuff. And once again, I want to remind you guys, we still are doing that $100 gift card giveaway for Harbor Freight, and all you have to do to qualify is put something in the comment section down below. I don't care what it is, hello, goodbye, toast, I'd buy that for $1, anything funny, or just a question in general, you're entered for that drawing. We still have last week's winner. They haven't messaged us, so this Monday, if they don't message us, I'm going to be picking out 2 winners. So definitely stay tuned for that one. And without any more shameless plugging, let's get into the video. So the reason I decided to talk about tow yard auctions today is the current climate in the automotive industry. Right now, it's never been harder to actually find a good deal. There are so many people overpaying, and they're hyping this chip shortage up, and a lot of the dealers are still way overpaying for cars and stuff like that, so it's very hard to find a cheap, affordable car. So one of the things that I do is I go to a lot of tow yard auctions. Now, we're going to go over some of the pros and cons of each thing and kind of give you a breakdown of what to do. But basically, I want to get into, the reason why the market is kind of changing right now. So a lot of people still feel that there's a shortage and they have to overpay for cars. So I'm going to put a screenshot probably somewhere over here. Like I said, every week, Manheim has been adding more and more cars to their auction list or to their run list. So you have new repos coming in, and then you have all the cars that didn't sell from the week before because either the bank wanted too much money or the dealer wanted too much money. And I keep telling people, be patient, stop overpaying. Because what's going to happen is just like tax season, which I don't understand how most dealers don't see this. Prices go up, so they keep paying, and then all of a sudden the demand starts slowing down. Like right now, we're not selling as many cars. All of a sudden it starts to trickle down and it just caves and the market gives out. So you don't want to be left holding the bag with a lot of these expensive cars. So do me a favor. If you are a dealer and you're watching this, look at how many cars they run every week at your local auction house, whether it's Adesa, Manheim, or some other small mom and pops one. See how many cars. I guarantee you every week they're adding more and more. All the repo clauses are gone. A lot of the government forgiveness plans are gone. The repos are in full effect. All the stimulus ballers spent all their money, so all that shit's coming back. So like I said, be patient. But in the meantime, if you guys are looking for good, affordable cars, let's get into tow yard auctions. Now, the good thing about a tow yard auction, it is open to the general public. So this is something that everybody can get into, whether you're a beginning car flipper, you want a mechanic and you want to practice your skills on a few cars, or you're just a dealer looking for some cheap deals. A tow yard auction is a great place. Now, believe it or not, the best way to find your local tow yards is to go to your local newspaper. You open up your newspaper, and I know some of you guys are probably confused and haven't opened a newspaper up in over a decade, but you open it up and look in the public announcements. Now, by law, every time somebody gets their car impounded or whatever else, they actually have to say, the tow yard by law has to say that we are auctioning off your car and give public notice. So when you look in there, you'll see this Thursday, there's a tow yard auction. Sometimes they'll have a list of cars, sometimes they'll say 20 cars, so you just have to go down there. But this is a great place to start. So I would first recommend opening up your newspaper, looking to see which local ones are happening right now, and then if there's nothing in the public notice section, what you can do is you get a list, you either get on Google, or if you still find a phone book, open it up, and literally, I have a calendar that I put out there. I'll probably show you a picture. And it's literally every date that's on there, I put when the auctions are. So I'll call each tow yard and be like, yeah, when's your guys' next auction? Oh, it's the 3rd Thursday of every week or every month? Okay, so then I'll count down Thursday. Bob's Towing. I'll call the next company. Okay, you guys are having an auction Wednesday? Okay, I'll put you down for Wednesday. And so you just list them all and you fill your calendar with these type of things. Now, in the beginning, I'm going to tell you, try not to buy. I would really recommend you guys take the time to fill out your calendar and go to as many of these things as you possibly can, just to kind of get the feel and the vibe and, you know, the good and the bad, because I'm going to tell you a few things a little bit later that's going to explain why you don't want to buy your first couple times of go around. So once you get, you know, your list of all your vendors and which days they actually have auctions, then you go ahead and you start actually going. Now, some tow yard auctions have different types of auction setups, and this is why I want you guys to go and experience this. Now, there are some auctions that are what's called a live bidding auction. So when you show up, you sign up, you give them like $100, $200 deposit, they give you a little number, and you go and you live bid against other people. Now, this is a good way of basically learning, you know, how to bid, read people and everything else, but don't let your ego get in the way. Just, you know, if you do get your bid card, just sit there patiently, watch how they bid, see what they're bidding on, and don't buy anything. Like I said, I'm going to say that till the end. Some of these other ones, they have what's called a silent bid. So when you show up, basically you just have to go out there and be like, wow, I really like this car. And there's 30 other people looking at this car, and you think, well, if I buy it for $2,000, I could sell it for $3,000. So I want to make $1,000. So you put, you know, $2,000 is your highest bid, and you put it in there. And then what they do is sometimes they'll have a box by a car and everybody puts in their bid, and at the end of the day they will open up the box and they will pick whoever the high bidder is. So that one's a good one, but it's also kind of bad because sometimes you way overpay for cars. Some of the people may have only offered $600, but now you're paying $2,000 for it. But it really just depends on which tow yard. The very last one, which is kind of weird, is they actually have almost like a sales price. And this is where I'm going to tell you that the system is a little rigged for some tow yards, because some tow yards actually own car dealerships, or their family owns a dealership or something like that. And so what they'll do is they'll get an impound and they'll run it through the lane, and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to get this thing for probably $1,000. I'm going to save some money. And they're like, okay, starting bid $2,500. And you're like, well, shit, that's what I was going to retail it for. So they're actually going after the retail customers. They're not going after dealers and wholesalers like you guys. They're actually looking to try to get full retail on every single book. Now, the difference with a lot of these auctions, the different styles, is live bidding. Sometimes they'll get keys, sometimes they won't. You don't want to bid on a car unless it has keys, because you want to hear it run and you want to basically see what it does. Because you have to remember, these cars have been towed in. They could have been towed in for any amount of reasons. Sometimes you get lucky, like you'll see on the windshield, it'll say DUI, so at least you know the car is driving, you know, when it got there. But a lot of people, you know, they're driving down the sidewalk, or excuse me, not the sidewalk, driving down the freeway, their car overheats, blows up the motor, they leave it on the side of the highway, and then, you know, they tow it off. So you could be getting that particular car. Now, I don't recommend doing that until you get more experienced and everything else, but we want to keep it as novice as possible, so do not bid on any cars that do not have keys. And a lot of times they do that on purpose, because if they know the motor's bad, they'll get less money. So if they say, there's no keys, we don't know if it runs or drives, they're hoping some idiot in the public, which you'll see this, there's a lot of idiots at dealers auctions, but there's way more idiots at public auctions. And so they will overbid the shit out of some of these cars. I watch them do it with every Chrysler, everything with a Hemi in it. If it doesn't have keys, guarantee you the motor's blown up. But they always like, well, we don't have any keys, our key guy couldn't make it, so it's as is. And everyone's thinking, oh, it's gonna run, I'm gonna buy the keys. And so that's why I tell you guys, don't buy anything until you've been to a few of these auctions, because what's gonna happen is you're going to watch these guys bid on the cars that you really like, and once they pay for them, then you're allowed to actually start them up, look at them, open them up and everything else. And you'll see a lot of cars, well, they'll buy them and they'll blow up right there on the side of the road, or they won't start again. They Mickey Mouse them just to get them to run, you know, because some of the tow yards will allow you to actually start the car, and some will allow you to put them in gear, move them back and forth. But a lot of ones nowadays, they don't want you to do that because they want to sell it to you for all the retail. So they'll start it with their own people. So a lot of times they'll start it away from the lane so you can't see. So if they're spraying fuel in there and Mickey Mouse and stuff and putting a jumper box on it, you will never be able to see that. They'll start it up and then they'll run it through at like, you know, 1 mile an hour to make sure that it doesn't shift into second gear. So if the tranny's slipping, you won't know about it. Or they'll start it off in second gear and you won't see that it maybe doesn't even have a first gear. So that's kind of what they do. And that's one of the main reasons why we tell you guys to actually take your time and don't buy anything. As you sit there and at the end of the day, you're like, man, that Tahoe was such a great deal. I should have got the Tahoe. And then you get it and you find out that the transmission or the transfer case was blown. They had it in two-wheel drive, front only, and the rear is basically blown out or something like that. You will start seeing these guys. It's so funny. They always buy the cars thinking they got a great deal, and they try to drive them down the street. And just do me a favor, just drive around for the next few hours. You'll see half of those cars sitting on the side of the road because there's either something wrong with them or they blew up. So this way it gives you a little bit more knowledge of how it works. Plus, talk to some of the other auction buyers. Hey, how many times do you guys buy cars here? Because what happens is a lot of the tow yards, if the cars are good, they keep them or they sell them for full retail on the side, which technically they're not supposed to, but they do it anyways. Nobody's really going to stop them. So a lot of the times the only cars that go to the auction are cars that are basically shit. All the junk cars, cars with major issues, they don't even want to mess with them. They're just hoping some dumb idiot way over bids on it. So as you get the feel for the auctions, you'll start to see how it all works. And then you'll notice like, oh man, all these cars that these guys are selling are all shit for some reason. But then you'll go to another auction where it's like an old school guy where he doesn't give a shit. He's got more money, doesn't even need anything. And some of these guys will just liquidate everything. I've bought in some 2010, 2020 vehicles for 50% of LTV, which loan to value, or MMR if you want to go off for that route. So I've gotten some really screaming deals, but those are only at certain auctions, and I learned that from going from each particular auction. So I definitely recommend you do that in the beginning. Also, before you go into getting your tow yard auction, actually set up and be friends with a tow company. So sometimes the tow companies will offer you to drop them off at your house for an extra $50 or $100 or $75. So make sure you keep that in your mind when you're bidding on vehicles. Also, some auctions have what's called a buyer's premium. So if you'd say you have $1,000 in your pocket and you bet $1,000 on this car and you're excited and you're like, yes, I bought this car for $1,000. And then you find out there's a 10% buyer's premium. So now you pay another $100 plus you got to pay the sales tax on the $1,100. So that's another whatever, $90 to $100. So you're $1,200 into your car and you didn't realize that you overpaid that. So once you start going to these tow auctions, you need to learn their fees. So with that same calendar that you have hanging up on your wall with all your dates, start putting in a buyer's fee. This guy's 5%. This guy's 10%. The reason why you want to do this is because, like I said, sometimes it'll come down to the dollar and you need to really know exactly which car is leveled up where and where you can bid at. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is once you buy the actual car, the next process is to coming and actually fixing it. Now, fixing it, we all know what to do. You know, you're going to do some general repairs, some maintenance stuff and everything else, but that's pretty self-explanatory. What we're going to talk about now is one of the hard things that a lot of people don't understand. Now, when you get some cars from tow yard auctions, they will come with a title. Very few do, but some do. The rest will come with what's called a lien packet. Now, a lien packet is basically the tow yard's right to lien the vehicle because they never picked it up, so they lost storage and the service of the tow, so they're able to recoup their money by selling the vehicle. So they sell you the car with the actual lien packet. Now, this is a good thing and a bad thing. Now, some states you can take that lien packet and let's say you sell the car, you can just give it to somebody else with a bill of sale and you're good to go. Some cities and states, you actually have to put the car in your name and then sell it to somebody else. Now, one of the big things about the lien packets is it takes an extremely long time to process. Here in the state of Nevada, it could take up to 3 months. So what I do is I FedEx everything there and pay for expedited. So it's $25 for FedEx, $39 for processing, $29 for the title, and another $25 to FedEx it back. So I usually get it between 7 and 10 days, and that'll be an extra, let's just say $100. Now I do that because I want to be able to get the car and get rid of it as soon as I can. Now, if you have a little bit of capital and it's not that big of a deal, then you can go ahead and, you know, take the paperwork down to your local DMV and you could file for the title and wait, and hopefully you'll get it there shortly. We had one guy that was, I think in Louisiana, he had the best title system. He literally would walk down there, they'd give him the paperwork, and they would print out the title right then and there. So some of your states will have that thing where you can actually print them out extremely quickly. So that's a good thing. So these are some of the things, that's why I said don't buy until you check, you know, the tow yards, you get your list of vendors, you work out a relationship with another tow guy besides that tow yard. So if you do buy a car, you can get a tow back to your place. Also, you know, like I said, talk to your local DMV. See how long it's going to take you to get your title. And then also find out if you are not a dealer. Say, hey, how many titles am I allowed to flip and exchange in my name? If it's 3, 7, 5, 10, 15, whatever it is, make sure you stay by that rule and just flip it accordingly. And then once you get a little bit bigger and you feel comfortable, you know, this will give you the, I guess, the go-ahead to actually go ahead and get your dealer's license. Because before I had had my dealer's license, I was, my first Toyota auction I went when I was 16. So legally I wasn't even allowed to buy a car, but I literally looked like this with the same facial hair back then. So I just walked in, gave my money. They didn't give a shit. They just wrote me out the paperwork and I filed for the title. So, you know, but it's a great way to get started in the business. And if you want to see what it's really like with live bidding and seeing how other people work, and you'll see the psychology behind bidding, because you're going to see when you go to a public auction and you're just a young guy and you're trying to bid out some of these other guys, you'll see some of these older guys all ego and all puff up when every time you overbid. So you'll bid like smartly. Don't ever overbid. If the bid's 1,000, you say 1050. They don't allow you to hit 1050. If they say it has to be $100 increments, say okay, 11. You'll get some knucklehead, 13, 14. He'll say okay, $200 more. Okay, I'll go higher than that. I'll go 1,800. And if it's still under your threshold and you want to pay $2,000, you could say okay, he paid 18, I'll pay 19. And just go little by little by little. Don't let your ego get sucked in, because you'll see when you see this here, you'll realize all the stuff we talk about on this channel is so true, because it's the same idiots that overbid there that they do there. Now, the cool thing about a tow yard auction is cash is king. They do not accept credit cards. They do not accept lines of credit. They don't take none of that shit. So if you are a dealer or somebody that has maybe a little more capital, if there's like a nice truck, like if you're getting something that's over 20K, you're gonna win it, because there's nobody else there you compete with. There might be one other person there, but anytime there was a car over $10,000, my competition was nothing. So we would just sit there and wait, and then, like I said, a nice car would come in that had a book over 10 grand. We would bid on that car and we'd win it every single time. Now, the competition is fierce for 5K under and below, but you can still get in there depending on your market and your area. But when it goes over that big threshold amount, if you have, let's say, $7,000, $8,000 and there's some nicer cars going, I would tell you to probably wait to get a little bit of a nicer car to bid against instead of buying like maybe 4 or 5 cheap buckets, because you'll probably have a better chance of winning that one nice car and getting it for a good deal and selling it faster than fighting these guys for all these cheap cars. Because there's some guys, I watch them, if the car's worth $1,000, they'll pay $2,000, because their whole business model is to only buy from tow yard auctions, because they either got too many issues, they got kicked out of the auction, whatever the case may be, they're just burnt dealers. That's where they purchase at. So, you know, if you have any questions, please put in the comment section below if you want to learn more about tow yard auctions, or if you have more suggestions for videos, any type of thing like that. I love sharing this stuff. It is Friday. It's a beautiful rainy Friday in Vegas. I was actually going to do this video at the tow yard while I was walking around talking about it, but of course it's Murphy's Law. It never rains here in Vegas, and the time I actually want to film outside, it starts to rain. But we are going to take you guys to a few auctions. I'll show you through the thing. So now that, you know, some of the restrictions have been lifted and Rona is no longer so cold bad, we can actually start taking you guys to the auctions and everything else. So I'll do a little bit more of that stuff later on down the road. But I want to thank you guys so much. We're this close to 50,000 subscribers, which is amazing. We're almost there, but I want to thank you guys. Like I said, I truly appreciate it. This has been a blast. Make sure you do me a favor and gently squeeze the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps me find more amazing people like yourselves. Also, please consider subscribing. We post all the time. Only 5% of my viewers are subscribed, which is crazy. You guys, some of you guys, I've seen you on every video. You watch and you watch every video and you comment, but you don't subscribe. So please subscribe. It means a lot to me. I really want to get to 50,000 because that's a huge milestone. We're probably going to do an epic giveaway for that one, but I'll save that for when we actually hit there. But anyways, make sure you, once again, every comment you put down below qualifies you for that Harbor Freight gift card of $100. And we are going to announce that winner on Monday. So make sure you stay tuned. And if the previous winner, if you don't answer us by Monday, we are going to issue 2 cards that particular day. So remember, every time we give a giveaway, you have 1 week to answer, because there's a lot of people that comment every video and I want to reward those people. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day and amazing weekend, and we'll see you next time.